A very good morning to all the participants connected with us online as well as the participants available with us in this particular classroom. So we are going to start with our very first session that is on changing learning spaces. And we will discuss few of the cooperative learning strategies today. So in the previous class yesterday, we have covered that when it comes to writing different learning outcomes and for the classes of active learning, we need to, as a faculty, we need to decide that what kind of instructional decisions we need to make as per the learning sequence that we have decided as per the subject assigned to you. So when it comes to the classroom environment nowadays, it is not only the offline classroom in which we are disseminating information and knowledge, but at the same time, when it comes to classrooms, we are going to deliver instructional messages in online environment too. So we are in the combination of two different type of classes nowadays, offline as well as online. So as a teacher, we need to understand that classroom environment is changing a lot, and those changes as a teacher we need to understand. And in the last previous classes for yesterday's session, we have also covered that it is the responsibility of the teacher to create the environment of learning. So when I'm saying that there are offline and online environment available with the teacher, it is the teacher who is going to decide that what open source platform or online learning tool I'm going to use for my student, and what are the different facilities available with my students, so that in their own personal time when they are assessing information, those resources are also available with the student. So is it possible for you to make such kind of an arrangement where technology is available and internet facilities available 24 into 7 at your institutions? And if it is available with the faculty members, is it possible for your student to access those resources as and when required? So when we are saying that it is a responsibility of the teacher to create learning environment, the teacher not only needs to assess that what kind of resources that are available to me, but after my class, when my class is over, what are the different resources with whom my students can easily interact with. So for the creation of the learning environment, teacher need to find out the various things. I hope I'm also audible to all the members connected with us online.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Shobna ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes to the classroom environment, and we are saying that there are two different kind of classroom environments in which we are dealing at present, we need to understand that new generation students are changed a lot. So when we are saying new generation students are changed a lot, it means we need to identify the characteristics of those students also. The very first thing that we need to understand is students are connected on social media.
सुनाएगी तेरी मैं आपको आ ही नहीं रही है अभी मैं देखता हूँ If any of the participant could confirm if I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the screen is also visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
But
sir.
it is, now it is okay.
So sorry for the technical glitch for today class. So we were discussing about when it comes to the new generation student, the first thing that we need to understand is the social students nowadays, they are well connected with different kind of social media platforms. So when we are saying students are available on WhatsApp, students are available on different Telegram groups, students are available with Facebook, Instagram. So Facebook is an obsolete thing for the student. They are using different kind of social media platform. So when we're saying students are connected with social media, they are not just connected with social media 24 into 7. They are using those media platforms, and at the same time they are able to perform multitasking activities. So when I'm saying that they're able to handle multi activities at a single time, it means their way of thinking is dynamic by nature. So they are able to handle immense amount of information and immense amount of data. They are able to easily connect with each other with a larger group members, maybe outside the classroom or even inside the classroom. So in this classroom also, when we are delivering lecture, most of the participants are scrolling their mobile phones. So it doesn't mean that it is only us that we are interacting with each other. In the same concrete kind of a classroom, you are interacting with the outer world. And as far as our student population is concerned, they are more into it. So they are not just using the resources, but at the same time they are able to create their resources. Maybe it's a videos, maybe it's a text messages, maybe the scanned document or the PDF document. They are very easily using those resources, or they become content generators. In the time to come, students will be able to synthesize information, students will be able to create their own information. एआई से आजकल लोग अपने रिसर्च पेपर और आर्टिकल्स लिख रहे हैं ना, दे आर टेकिंग हेल्प, पैराफ्रेजिंग टूल्स आर देयर, क्विक बोल्ड टूल्स आर देयर. सो दे आर टेकिंग help from the different media tools available for generating content. So as a teacher, I need to understand that students are very positive in their approach. They are not just using the resources, but they are also connecting with the different media resources for the generation of information. So they are having a competitive kind of approach, but at the same time they are collaborating with each other. So when we are saying they are collaborating with each other, means they are having an approach of let's build it. So they are able to work in teams, they are able to work in groups. Next thing that we need to understand is students are able to generate resources and they are able to adapt sources as per their requirement. So when they are in the classroom and teacher is using a traditional way of teaching, 45 minutes they are available with you in the classes, whether they are available with you physically, but yes, they are able to adapt the need of that particular environment. And at the same time, they're evaluating and analyzing that whatever information delivered by my teacher, that information is available on other resources or not. So they are critically evaluating the information that is delivered by the teacher by the use of different resources. They always carry technology. So when we are saying that they always carry technology, students, all the students nowadays having mobile phones in their hand. Many of the students carry their laptops also with them, and there are other digital devices also with whom the students are connected. So when we are saying that they are carrying technology, as a teacher I need to find out that whether, as a teacher I need to find out that how it is possible for me to integrate technology in a classroom. So in this particular program, when Dr. Gaurav Kumar is engaging sessions on the media platforms or various e-generation tools, sir will also provide you the input that these are the open source tools available with us, and this is how it is possible for a teacher to organize quizzes, take a poll, or other content generation tools available which we can easily integrate, and students not using their mobile phone for WhatsApp messages, but they're using mobile phone for the quizzes organized by the teacher in a classroom environment. So that we need to understand. Next is personalized. So when we are saying personalized, when the new generation students are using resources, they are selecting resources as per their own choice. Say if you search for this particular topic on YouTube, there are n number of videos available. So it is the teacher who it is the student who is going to decide that what information, what resource is more appropriate for me. So they are finding their needs and they are personalizing the information that is available, and as per their choice they are selecting information from different resources. Next important thing that we need to understand is, as far as education is concerned, education is focusing on make education flexible and available to all the students. So whenever, wherever they want. So when we are saying whenever, wherever they want, it means flexibility in education in increasing. Government initiative like MOOC programs or SWAYAM courses, and now the ACT is also giving facility to the students to earn credit from different MOOC courses rather than having those courses at institute level. So student can select, or the institute can map that these are the different SWAYAM courses available on different platform. Rather than engaging classes in a institute environment, the student can enroll for those online courses. Say for example, I'm the coordinator for MOOCs program, that is communication skills, moods and knowledge dissemination. There are many universities and many students who are undergoing that MOOC program for the completion of their credit. So when we are saying whenever, wherever they want, and there are policies designed by the government that student can earn credit by the use of different MOOC courses. So students are able to listen to that information because that is available online. So flexibility is available with the student that as per their own pace and as per their own choice, they can select from where I'm going to get that information. Second trend is diverse places of learning. So when I'm saying diverse places of learning, it is not only the classroom or the library environment from where the student is getting information is available on different e-resources. So in a cafeteria, while traveling, the student can listen to that particular information. So it is not necessary or compulsory for the student to come to the classes and listen to the faculty all the time. They can have information as per the place decided by them. So two major trends in education nowadays: whenever, wherever they want. So NEP 2020 is also providing distance education and flexible mode of learning programs for the students, and diverse places of the learning. Any place can become a learning space if the student want to collect information by the use of technology. पहले हमारे पास क्या था? Earlier, when we were selecting information, textbook references were available, and it is the teacher who is the knowledge provider. But nowadays, if ex faculty notes or lecture is not as per your choice, you can search for the different resources that are available with us. So it is not only when the students are saying, as per net generation, students are having an approach of let's build it. It means the faculty needs to develop the content together in a team. Maybe within the institution, you can create your own teams, and outside the institutions also, you can call for the expert and create content. So it is as per the choice of the student. If they want variety, if they want information, what approach they are using, likewise, we need to develop our approach also. So these are the major characteristics that we need to identify as far as the student of our classes are concerned. First thing is student wants to have group activity. So when I'm saying student wants to have group activity, you need to map information that is available. Rather than spoon feeding that information, give resources and references to the student and use your classes for discussion purposes. Goal and achievement orientation. So when we are saying goal and achievement orientation, in the time to come, student will ask that why I need to listen to you and why I need to learn this subject or learn this part of the content. So when your classes are full of why, it means your goal and objective must be very clear. So if X or Y student is available in a class and asking question to the faculty must be ready with the response. Multitasking, they are able to handle immense amount of information on a single point of time. It means when you are involving them in different activities, different kind of resources need to be provided to them. Experimental trial and error, provide them flexibility and autonomy to search for information. If there are errors, the role of the faculty is to facilitate the process of learning rather than directing for learning. Next, other resources are the visual resources or interactive information, because this is the demand of today's environment. So when we said group-based activities or team-based activities, or student want to develop connection with each other, there are two major things that we need to understand. One is the constructivism approach of education, and we can say the social constructivism. When you want your student to work in teams and group, what kind of skills are essential? Yes, any member connected with us online. When you want your students to work in teams and groups, what kind of skill essential for the student? Social skill.
Communication.
Listening skill and
Yes, thank you very much, Alpana ma'am. Hi ma'am, good morning. I'm unmuted. Ma'am, you are requested to kindly write in the chat box. So rightly added by Dr. Alpana ma'am and one participant from this particular center, that when it comes to use different group-based or team-based activities at institute level, the very first thing that is essential is the development of social skills among students. There are students in a class who are able to work in teams and group, but there may be students in class who want to work independently. And in the previous session we have covered that the personality characteristics of the student also affecting the classroom environment. It may not be appropriate for the students at higher level like mtech and phd students. It may not be possible for us to create or to develop these kind of social skills, because those skills are already developed in them and they are able to collaborate with each other. But the students who are not matured enough, say for example student in first semester, second semester, third semester, whose regional languages, cultural background, their previous knowledge pool is varied, in that particular case sometimes it is difficult for the teacher to develop team and group of the student. So ultimately in the initial phase we need to start with team based activities rather than group based activity. In team based activity, team means the size of 3 to 4 students. So when the students are working in a team and the activity is directed by the teacher, in that particular case it is possible that teacher is able to develop social skills among students. And when in lesser number they are connecting with each other, students are developing their skills with the help of each other, because when they are working together there are no personality clashes, no ego between the group of the student or the team of the student. They are listening to each other, they are responding to each other, and they are accepting ideas of that other team members. So when we said constructivism and social constructivism, the very major first requirement for this particular generation student is develop social skills among them, so that initially they can work in teams and later on they can work in groups. So social constructivism need to be developed. So when we said constructivism is making sense of our word that really has not changed. So when they are working in team, they are accepting the ideas of each other, and at the same time when they're asking questions to each other, the classes can be converted into different learning communities. So initially, in India, as far as the different MOOC courses are concerned, the successful rate of the different MOOC courses is only 7%. So when we are saying the MOOC courses successful rate is 7%, means the faculty who enrolled for those courses unable to complete those courses and get certification for the courses because their self-independent path of learning are not being designed yet. किस चीज की आदत है हमें? नोटिस बोर्ड पे डेट शीट लगेगी, साथ वाला फ्रेंड बताएगा कि कल पेपर है, then I will prepare for the information. When you enrolled for different MOOC courses, you have to check all kind of information that is transferred to you by the coordinators. So when we said the learning communities need to be developed, the very first question is what social engagement and processes provide the proper context of learning. बताओ कौन से क्वेश्चन बताएंगे? What kind of social engagement and processes need to be there in which the context for learning can be produced? First, we need to have content up to that excellence, and we need to have a proper planning to deliver those instructions. So सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना पड़ेगा? Planning of different courses, in what way we are moving. So if it is a subject, in a subject there are few of the units or the introductory unit where the student is being introduced to that particular subject, that information need to be delivered by using lecture method. Active lecture method means the student develop understanding for that particular subject. Once that understanding is being developed, we can shift our focus to group based and team based activities. And over the period of time, when we come to know that there is a complex method or content available in that particular subject, I may need to shift from group and team based learning to again lecture method, where I can progressively develop the content. So when we said context of learning, the course planning need to be done by the faculty first before deciding any instructional method and any instructional media. The second major requirement is what form of co-participation might be required when engaging learners in these forms of learning, depending upon what level of students you have at institute. So when I'm saying depending upon what level of students you have in institute, suppose we divided our institutions into three different categories: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 institution. These institutions have student quality in a different manner. So depending upon the level of the student, you need to decide what kind of approach or what teaching method is appropriate for my student population. So if X institute is using a different way of teaching, maybe the institute located in a regional any a local area or any remote area, in that particular institution, rather than integrating technology, the teacher needs to provide notes to the material, that may be handmade notes or tailor made notes for the student. So that is the requirement. So what kind of learning communities the teacher can create? The very first what we mean by learning community, the community of the student who focused on the development of their learning together. So, and at the same time, they are developing relationship. So, when we said learning community, every class students make their own groups. एक तो teacher group division करता है, but in every class there are different groups of students that those are developing together. Those are developing together in terms of their learnings, developing together in terms of their skills, developing together in terms of their interpersonal relationship. It means the learning communities are already available in the classes. If the teacher is able to identify those informal group, the teacher can redistribute the group in a formal way. So the students with the same kind of ability will make a group. ऐसा ही होता है ना, जो एक जैसी एबिलिटी और एक जैसे थिंकिंग के लोग हैं, उनका एक ग्रुप फॉर्म होता है. And if the teacher is able to identify those informal group, the teacher can restructure those group of the varying ability. दो स्टूडेंट एक ग्रुप से ले लिए, दो एक से ले लिए, दो एक से ले लिए, so that there is a mixture of ability available in a group, so that when they interact together, their interpersonal relationship develop, and once interpersonal relationship develop, their way of thinking is going to be changed. So the first thing that we need as a faculty we need to do is identify the informal groups available in a class and make your own groups as a teacher after identifying the abilities. So three different types of communities we can develop. Communities of practice. Communities of practice means the students who are more into skill kind of activities. They are more happy in practical classes. They are more happy when a project work is given to them. As far as you given a written assignment, those students are not very happy. So that is their ability. So one community of practice. So one group can be a community of practice that helping other student when it comes to a skill development parameter. Second is community of inquiry. So when we said naturalistic learner, when we said the learner who is able to develop his or her own critical and inquiry thinking skill, means those learners are able to handle problems at large. So those are the community of inquiry. So those students can be mixed together when there is a discussion for the development of critical thinking and inquiry based thinking. So those group can be formed. Next is the knowledge community. note sharing, information sharing. So those students are able to collect information, synthesize information, and transfer information from one end to another end. So when it comes to, say for example, for a collection of literature, there are few students who are very quick when it comes to the collection of information from different resources. But there may be another student who is very good when it comes to the synthesization of information. So as a teacher, I know that this particular candidate is good in collection of literature, other student is good in writing that literature. So club them and develop an article. So as a teacher, we need to identify that what kind of learning community is available in my class and how I am going to utilize those skills for my students. Another important parameter that we need to understand is what does the term learning space mean, why not we are using classroom instead. So when we are saying learning, earlier in all the education policies or in all the management practices, the term used was classroom. Nowadays the term is being used as learning space. हमारे टाइम पे क्या कहते थे टीचर, अब क्या कहते हैं फैकल्टी मेंबर. डिफरेंस है ना. टीचर मीन्स अ नॉलेज प्रोवाइडर, faculty means the facilitator who can the teacher the member who can facilitate the process of learning. So when we are saying the member who is able to facilitate the process of learning means information is available, resources are available, the teacher is providing those resources so that learning can happen in an environment. When I'm saying teacher, he or she may be a sole knowledge provider in a class and total class students are dependent upon that particular member for collection of information. When we are saying a concrete classroom means where the knowledge can be provided to the student by using any mean. But when we are saying online teaching learning activities are happening nowadays, so library, office space, cafeteria in the town can be the learning space of the student. So in online education, but classrooms were by the far single most important space for learning if the teacher is able to create learning in those classrooms. So the new lecture theater may be a smart board, laptop and mobile at hand, faculty recording the voice and upload it on the website, notes written on the board and given to the student as printout. So that can be the future classrooms of our country. So when we are saying the faculty recording the voice and upload it on the website, maybe on LMS or maybe on the Moodle, it means student need not to note down the information again and again. And when they are not noting down the information, they are processing information. So when you are collecting information, you are just collecting information. You are not thinking about that information. When they are actively listening about that information and some instrument is recording that information, we are giving time to our brain to process that amount of information. So we are thinking about that information. So when we are saying the printouts can be provided to the student with this particular podium also, when the teacher is engaging classes, at that time the teacher can provide direct printouts of the information collected. So this can be the future classroom. So one example is she goes to the podium computer and click on a few link, and as soon a video conferencing session is displayed on the right hand screen, she has arranged to have a colleague of her drop in on the class to discuss a point, and that expert is 500 miles away. Student listen to the expert comment and they are even able to ask questions to that particular member. So when we are saying future classrooms, it is possible for the teacher to use open sources and connect with the different experts of that area. Collaborative learning space means your class infrastructure need to be developed in such a manner that as and when required, students are able to connect with the outer world. सो मोस्ट बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट क्या रहेगी हमारे फ्यूचर क्लासरूम्स की? इंटरनेट फैसिलिटी विद डिजिटल डिवाइसेस. स्मॉलर लेवल पे हमारे स्मार्टफोन्स कैन वर्क एंड लैपटॉप्स कैन वर्क. हाई एंड पे देर आर अदर डिजिटल डिवाइसेस ऑल्सो that make it possible for integrated with the different members of that particular community. So when it comes to the development of different e-community, the very first thing is know your learners. कितने तरह के लर्नर्स हो सकते हैं क्लास में? स्लो लर्नर, फास्ट लर्नर, ओके। कितने लोग हैं जिनको नोट्स पसंद है कि टीचर कुछ भी बोल रहा है एंड में नोट्स दे दे? कितने ऐसे मेंबर्स हैं जो नोट्स से या स्ट्रक्चर्ड इंफॉर्मेशन को रेफर करना कंसिडर करते हैं रादर देन लिसनिंग टू द इंफॉर्मेशन? कोई नहीं है, ओके। कौन से लोग हैं जिनको सुनना पसंद है कि व्हेन द टीचर इज गिविंग अ लेक्चर और अ रिकॉर्डेड वीडियो इज अवेलेबल, दैट इज मोर कंफर्टेबल फॉर मी टू लिसन? there may be members जिनको पावर पॉइंट presentations की रिक्वायरमेंट रहती है एट द एंड ऑफ द कोर्स। कोई नहीं है, आपको रहती है। सो इट मीन्स देर आर वराइटी। जो कहते हैं कि हमें सुनना पसंद है, दे आर वर्बल लर्नर्स। जिनको स्ट्रक्चर्ड इन्फॉर्मेशन या पावर पॉइंट की रिक्वायरमेंट है, दे आर विजुअल लर्नर्स। There may be candidates who might think information is already available, I will search for information and prepare for my test. So those are naturalistic learners. So there are variety of learners. So when we are creating either offline and online classes, we need to give diverse experiences to our students. So your choice may be a verbal or a visual learner, but your student may be of different nature. So as a teacher in 90 academic days, we need to plan our course in such a manner that all kind of information need to be, all kind of information means in segments we need to provide information by using different sets. Netiquette's rules. Netiquette's rules means so when we are saying netiquette's rules, specifically when we are interacting with our students online. So in this particular group, the members who connected with us online, all the members are matured. They are the faculty members from different institutions. So when we are saying write your message in the chat box, I know that they are going to write relevant messages. But if this class is for students who are not matured enough, and suppose there are 250 members connected with us online, is it possible for the teacher to handle this big crowd that is not matured enough? और अगर मैं उन्हें चैट का ऑप्शन अवेलेबल कर दूं, what kind of messages they are going to write? मैं यूपी का एग्जांपल लेती हूँ। एक बार हमने स्टूडेंट वर्कशॉप करा and there are 700 students enrolled from UP. The workshop was preparing students for job interview. Expert lecture छोड़ के चला गया because वहाँ पे chat option was available. So when we are saying for a student population and those who are not matured enough, the first thing that we need to refer is netiquette's rule. What kind of facilities you are going to provide to your student, and if the students are not following the policies and practices, the teacher has a right to expel the student from the class. Next is enforce them to follow. It is the responsibility of the teacher to encourage the student to follow all the policies. Suppose अगर online class आप students के लिए कर रहे हो and you set a rule that every student must on their video cameras, so that rule must be followed. Otherwise आप उनके attendance mark नहीं करोगे और you will deduct marks from their MSTs. So whatever rule policy that you have designed, the teacher must encourage the student to follow those rules. Select appropriate packages. So there are number of open source tools available with us. We can utilize those resources for the classes. Good interpersonal relationship. So when we are saying good interpersonal relationship, the teacher must be a professional member of that particular society, but at the same time the teacher must be able to listen empathetically to the students may have personal problems in their life. So teacher need to develop a relationship with whom the student can share their professional as well as personal problems up to some extent. कि आपकी एक thin line है between friendship and profession. So that distance need to be maintained at the same time. But yes, rapport with your students need to be developed. Create a learning space. When I'm saying create a learning space, in every institution there are fixed schedules provided to the teacher. आपके पास एक टाइम टेबल आता है ना कि आपकी क्लास 10 से 11:30 है या 2 से 4 है. So there is a fixed schedule, but if the student want to have some sort of additional information, what kind of space you are going to provide to that candidate. So is it a Telegram group or a WhatsApp group created by you in which the student can post their questions, or what are the different resources that make available for the students to pass that particular subject? Shareable online content need to be there. Let them work. So ask the student to interact and have discussions. So when the students in any classroom, the four basic skills of communication need to be followed. The very first one is listening. Teacher needs to listen also. Teacher किस तरह की listening use करेगा? Empathetic listening, appreciative listening. Appreciative listening means to motivate them. Next, active listening, listening to all kind of information, whether it is formal or informal. Third is critical or evaluative listening. So if the student is saying something, why he or she is saying something. So four different kind of listening skills need to be there in a classroom environment, followed by the teacher. Student के part पे the maximum amount of time the student need to spend on active listening. So all the time student listen to the information that is delivered by the teacher. So when we said the second skill of communication is writing, give time for writing, but that must be independent writing. So what information is already available, do not ask them to duplicate that information. Give them few of the reflective activities during the semester so that they can process information. Third type of skill is, third communication skill is कौन सी होती है? Listening, writing, speaking. Yes, when it comes to the speaking, the teacher need to decide what amount of information is essential for them. Likewise, you need to plan for your speaking. And when the teacher is asking question to the student, student must respond to the question asked by the teachers. And last is वो तो आपका कम्युनिकेशन का पार्ट रहेगा. वर्बल नॉन वर्बल गो हैंड इन हैंड. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So when it comes to the reading, rather than giving written assignment again and again, give them an activity where students are enforced to read something. At least 30 minutes of reading need to be there to develop your knowledge pool. So that need to be there. And as and when required, supplement information. So when we are saying supplement information, maybe you provided different notes and material, but that in that language the student is not much comfortable. In that particular case, the student teacher need to translate that information and provide it to the student. So this is how we are able to develop different communities. So the next part of this session is different kind of cooperative learning strategies. So when we are saying cooperative learning strategies are designed for immature learners, but depending upon the size of the group selected by the teacher, they can also converted into collaborative group activity. Collaborative strategy में आपके group member कितने होते हैं? More than 6. कोऑपरेटिव में कितने रहते हैं? 6. कोऑपरेटिव में 6 क्यों रहते हैं? बिकॉज वी हैव टू डेवलप सोशल स्किल्स अमंग स्टूडेंट. कोलैबोरेटिव में वी आर एज्यूमिंग दैट सोशल स्किल्स आर ऑलरेडी डेवलप्ड. तो कल जब हम इंस्ट्रक्शनल मेथड की बात कर रहे थे, वन टीचर इज सेइंग ग्रुप डिस्कशन इज अ मेथड ऑफ टीचिंग. As far as our engineering subjects are concerned, with the help of group discussion, it is not possible for me to cover the course content. ग्रुप डिस्कशन में कोई कंक्लूजन नहीं निकलेगा ना. देयर इज ओनली अ डिस्कशन एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ डिफरेंट सॉफ्ट स्किल्स. But when it comes to the coverage of the course information, a different kind of discussion need to be organized. One such method, there are many, one such method is fishbowl method of discussion. So when we are saying fishbowl method of discussion, the very first major requirement is the infrastructure facility. So in this particular lecture hall, when the sitting arrangement is available in a U shape, it is possible for me to organize fishbowl discussion. In your classes, if your desk or sitting arrangement is fixed, it is not possible for you to have this kind of discussion, because we have to set two different kind of sitting arrangement for this discussion. Set up the table in the center of the class with the few chairs. That will become inner circle. Inner circle mein who are the students who are going to sit in the inner circle, to whom the teacher consider that their IQ ability is very high and they are very regular when it comes to the performance of different activities. So in simple terms, the students whom you consider intelligent students of your class, they will become the inner circle. Rest of the class students will make an outer circle. So this method of fishball is considered as closed fishball. Open fishball में क्या होगा? Closed fishball में all the chairs in the inner circles are occupied. Open circle में क्या रहेगा? One slot is left vacant. So there are two different type of arrangement, closed and open. Open में आप एक chair को खाली रखोगे, closed में all the students must be there in the group. So what kind of discussion can be organized? If the teacher want to develop critical thinking or the higher order skill, that is analysis, evaluation and creation, in that particular case, within a semester, 2 or 3 discussions need to be organized. If open-ended discussion, say for example, why there is an energy crisis. Second question may be, what are the some of the reasons we do not use more solar energy to reduce our dependence on oil? Controversial discussions can also be organized. Is nuclear energy good or bad for the mankind? Consumerism, luxury versus need. So these kind of discussion can be organized. So these discussion, these questions I have framed from the subject of environmental sustainability. From your branch of specialization, you can select any subject and find out few of the discussion topics. So we can organize open-ended discussions also and controversial discussion also. Now, how the discussion is going to be happened? The teacher will assign a topic or a question to the student, and after the stipulated time period, say you have given 1 week to the student to prepare for that particular topic. So after a 1 week, the inner group student will start discussing about that matter. Suppose you have selected open fishbowl method, and in open fishbowl method, you have assigned one topic of discussion to your student, and inner student will start with the discussion. How they are going to start the discussion? When the teacher is asking interrelated question to that particular topic. So they are discussing about that information, and rest of the student of the class are noting down that information. If there is any question in their mind, they also note down that particular statement. And once the discussion is over, teacher declare that the discussion on this particular topic is over. The outer cycle student may ask question to the faculty and to the inner cycle student. And during discussion, if the outer cycle student think they have more relevant and pertinent information, they can become the part of inner circle discussion. So open and closed fishbowl can be created by the teacher. So there are certain rules to follow for this teaching methodology. All the members of the inner circle group must participate during discussion. So if for a topic of discussion you decided 5 different statements, every member of the inner circle must be ready with those responses. Once the topic or time allocated have been covered, the teacher should summarize the discussion and open the floor for debriefing. During debriefing, so when the discussion is going on, the teacher must also observe, intervene if necessary, that what the group members are doing, inner as well as outer. And participants must be allowed to develop their own conclusion and express them freely. तो टीचर ने किस चीज पे फोकस करना है? The class is discussing about that particular topic. It need not to be happen that while working within a group, they are talking about informal discussion. So fishbowl method of discussion can be organized by using 15 to 20 minutes of your class time. So for any lecture, fishbowl method can be utilized by the teacher. After the class ले हमारे साथ online भी. After this topic is over, can we take out these questions? Next cooperative method is the numbered head together. So when it comes to numbered head together is for more immature learners. So when we're saying the diploma level student whose social skills are not developed yet, and there are much cultural differences and much differences in their previous background, so for those kind of student this particular strategy is appropriate. So it's again a 4-step cooperative strategy, and it can become the part of any lecture. So it may be at the initial phase of your lecture, or it may be at the end phase of your lecture. So the major advantage of the numbered head together is it provided a positive interdependence. So when I'm saying positive interdependence means students are depending upon each other, but in a positive manner, because they are developing each other. So in a numbered head together, the student first, the teacher will deliver the topic to the class. So you selected one topic out of your syllabus and you deliver that topic to your class. And suppose you consider that that particular topic is very important for the student from their examination point of view, and this topic must be prepared by all the members. So teacher will divide the class into different teams. So suppose teacher divided the class student into 4 different teams. Team कैसे divide होगी? It is not roll number wise, it is not name wise, it is as per the abilities available in the student. तो जिस तरह की abilities available है, on that basis we will make team and group of the student. Teacher will state a question related to that particular topic and give pause time to the student to process that information. So आप a question के बाद give a pause time to the student, say 2 to 5 minutes you given to your student to think about that information and be ready with the responses. And once the time is over, the teacher will ask question to the student. किस तरह के क्वेश्चन हो सकते हैं? The question should be factual. एग्जामिनेशन में आपके फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस आते हैं ना, तो क्वेश्चंस कैन बी फैक्चुअल. Few of the examples from the subject of fluid mechanics: define kinematic viscosity, what is meant by fully developed fluid flow, what is delta E for the steady state system. So these can be the question for the collection of factual information. Which is the law on which the concept of material balance is based upon. The second type of question that we may ask is related to reasoning and application. Do you expect the Hagen-Poiseuille equation to give accurate results for corroded pipe? So application question can be asked. Explain the reason that why flow of energy is unidirectional in an ecosystem. When the teacher give a lot time to the student will sit together, think about that information and developing information for each other. Suppose for a one statement the student know the answer, for another statement in a same team the one student do not know the answer, so they will sit together and develop information for those particular statements. So teacher at the when the allow time is over, any point of time the teacher can call any of the student from any team. Suppose teacher call every from team 1 number 4, ask him or her to give the answer. So if the student give a accurate answer, teacher can either shift to the next statement, or teacher can also ask for the elaboration of that particular statement. So this particular technique is, so teacher called from T1 student 1, T2 student 2, from T3 and T4. Every first student will give response to that particular statement, and teacher can also ask for the collaboration. And at the end, teacher provide feedback to the student immediately if information is not accurate. So what kind of advantages? High degree of interaction. It is going to develop communication, decreasing the learning gap, target different learning strategies, increase self-confidence, and facilitate formative evaluation. So one is fishbowl method of discussion, another is numbered head together that we can easily utilize for our students. Yes sir, बताइए आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है?
In that open fishbowl method, you said that in inner circle, the intelligent students will be sitting and discussing. Suppose any outer student wants to discuss. So what about his position? Whether he will come inside or
He will come inside.
Position or
In open bowl fish method, we have one seat vacant. So in the inner cycle, one slot is left vacant. If the outer cycle students think that they have more pertinent and relevant information, at any point of time, with the permission of the teacher, they can become the part of inner cycle. But whatever advanced, these are the advanced instructional method. Whatever in advanced instructional method teacher is using, the preparation at the part of the teacher need to be very high. जब आपने डिस्कशन के लिए स्टूडेंट को टॉपिक दे दिया और यू असाइंड अ क्वेश्चन टू द स्टूडेंट एंड यू गिव 1 week time period to the student to prepare for that information, student will search for all kind of information. So they may have advanced information. One restriction the teacher can put is provide references along with that particular topic. Okay, these are the 6 references from where you are going to prepare the topic. If the selection is at the part of the student, the teacher also need to prepare in an advanced manner. So teacher preparation will require more. Numbered head together में क्या problem आएगी for a teacher? First, the teacher need to design application and reasoning based question. And when you are asking for elaboration, when you was dealing with that particular topic, that kind of evaluation need to be there, reflected in your teaching. तो जब आप पढ़ा रहे थे, आपका वे ऑफ टीचिंग भी वैसा ही होना चाहिए जिस तरह के क्वेश्चंस फ्रेम करके आप स्टूडेंट को डिमांड कर लो. Okay, can we move to the third strategy? Just any member connected online, if you have any question. Yes, the members connected with us online.
No, ma'am.
हाँ जी, आपकी क्लास में किसी और का क्वेश्चन है? आपको रिवाइज करना उसको, टॉपिक को. नंबर्ड हेड टुगेदर कब होता है कि जब आपको पता है कि आपके सिलेबस में देयर इज अ कॉम्प्लेक्स टॉपिक एंड कंटेंट, बट फ्रॉम एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इट इज इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट. उस केस में पहले आप अपने लेक्चर को डिलीवर करोगे, यू फ्रेम फ्यू क्वेश्चंस आउट ऑफ दैट टॉपिक, एंड आफ्टर दैट कंटेंट डिलीवरी इज ओवर, साथ के साथ आपने क्या करना है, नंबर्ड हेड स्ट्रेटजी को यूज करना है सो दैट स्टूडेंट कैन रिवाइज दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इन प्रेजेंस ऑफ द फैकल्टी. सो आपके 10 to 15 मिनट्स नंबर्ड हेड टुगेदर में जाएंगे. तो अगर नहीं आ रहा तो इट मीन्स द नेक्स्ट इंस्ट्रक्शनल डिसीजन टीचर नीड टू मेक इज either provide simple references or notes to the students to study by their own or revise that topic again. So ये दो preparation आपको करनी पड़ेगी for numbered head together. Okay. Next strategy is visioning and futuring. Visioning and futuring are for matured learners. So when I'm saying the student in 5th and 6th semester at diploma level, or in degree program, maybe for 7th and 8th semester, when the students are in the process of identifying different problems for the project activity. So in that particular case, the department need to organize few of the classes which help the student to predict the future. So when I'm saying predict the future means they must be able to relate the learned information and able to produce something in the form of a project. So when we are saying visioning and futuring, it can also be used in a large lectures with the student sitting arrangement in group. So when I'm saying large lecture, so practical classes have a time period of 2 hours. So in those classes, we can use these kind of strategies. So when we're saying visioning and futuring technique, the very first step is project work का problem identify कर रहे हैं. It means student is already know about the basics of his branch and his information in advanced manner is also developed at institute level. So teacher will pose higher order thinking question that require reasoning, application, analysis, evaluation, and creation. That is why we are saying these techniques are not for first, second, third semester student. These are for the higher semester student whose abilities are already developed. Students are given about a sufficient time to think independently about a problem. So for example, जैसे यूनिवर्सिटीज में क्या होता है कि देर आर सर्टन टॉपिक्स गिवन बाय द प्रोफेसर्स as far as their research activities are concerned. So or the student know that this X professor is working in this particular area, Y teacher is working in this particular area. So broad area of specialization is known to the student. So as per the broad area of specialization, when the teacher is discussing information with the student, जब student उसे अपना supervisor लेगा और department selected a supervisor to the professor or to the teacher, उस case में supervisor may call for the different statements related to the broad area of specialization. वो स्टेटमेंट्स क्या होंगी आपकी? रीजनिंग की, एप्लीकेशन की, इवैल्यूएशन की एंड क्रिएशन की. So when the student is giving, after identifying the broad area of specialization and with the first interaction with that particular faculty, the student will have sufficient time to search about that information. अब जब भी किसी उसके टीचर के पास जाते हो और द स्टूडेंट कम टू यू फॉर अ प्रोजेक्ट एक्टिविटी, सबसे पहला स्टेटमेंट क्या होता है? इस टॉपिक के ऊपर पढ़ के आओ. वो पढ़ के आओ क्यों होता है? बिकॉज यू हैव टू हैव क्लैरिटी about the topic for which you are going to perform a project based activity. So think independently and think about that particular answer. What kind of questions need to be there? इस केस में आपके questions factual नहीं होंगे. All the questions must require reasoning and application. Say for example, one statement, how one can design traffic system for developing nations like India in case of automated cars. So this question required reasoning and thinking at the part of the student, and student need to collect information. Say for example, my student is working on biofuels. So when I'm saying biofuels and nowadays hybrid vehicles are there, the very first statement that we need to think of and ask is the kind of vehicles available in our country and the kind of transportation system that is available in our country. So दोनों के ऊपर डिपेंड करेगा कि आप कोई भी प्रोडक्ट अगर डिजाइन कर रहे हो, is it a viable solution for our society? So जब हमारी visioning and futuring होती है, start with the reasoning or application based question. If the students are working in group, make a group of the students. Group members will discuss the problem with each other and try to understand the present scenario. So what is the actual problem nowadays and how we are going to solve that problem? The student will identify the causes and solutions of that particular problem also. So when he comes or the group of the student comes with the problem, they also come with some of the solutions. Now the teacher need to identify that whether those solutions are able to apply or not. So teacher identify the similarity and differences between the keywords identified by all the group to reach a consensus of the present state. Group will work again. So project activity is for a longer period of time. So group will work again and again in the presence or in the invigilation of that particular faculty. So when we are saying visioning and futuring, these are for more matured learners. And at the end, when the project problem is given to the student, the teacher will organize a whole class discussion and note down the important point to know about the reliability and validity. Okay, so this learn the fundamental principles and practices related to the strategic foresight, how to identify future trends and issue and use these to construct possible alternative future, and able to apply and utilize the information learned. So visioning and futuring can be used for practical classes and can be used for the project based classes. Next is when we said the different active learning strategy or the different advanced methods that are available, few of the strategies that we may use in our lecture method is, first is write an example. So the teacher need to divide the lecture into three different parts. First is the introductory phase of your lecture. Introductory phase of your lecture must be very simple because we are developing engagement with that content for all the class student, and it must always contain few of the examples from the real life or from the industry. So why this particular topic is being introduced to all of you, that need to be arised by the faculty before delivering that particular topic. So introductory part mein, when the teacher is asking question, those question must be simple by nature so that student can relate to that particular content. Next part is the developmental phase of the lecture. So developmental phase of the lecture means what I'm going to deliver today to all of you. So whatever questions, whatever discussion, that discussion and question must be related to the topic of today. Say for example, I'm dealing with the subject of natural disaster management say, और कल मैंने कराया था मैन मेड डिजास्टर्स में अर्थक्वेक्स. जब मैं आज की क्लास में, सपोज टुडे माय टॉपिक इज लैंडस्लाइड, सो व्हेन आई एम आस्किंग क्वेश्चन इन माय डेवलपमेंट फेज, इट इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू earthquakes. It is only related and revolving around the topic of today, that is landslide. सो अगर मैं न्यूमेरिकल स्टेटमेंट दे रही हूँ, ज्योग्राफिकल मैपिंग के लिए कह रही हूँ, तो वो सारी स्टेटमेंट मेरी किसके रिलेटेड होंगी? रिलेटेड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक दैट आई एम डेवलपिंग टुडे. And when the teacher is developing a topic, the teacher can ask, after a certain period of time, the teacher need to give meaningful pauses. Meaningful pauses means few teachers create humors in a class, few teachers share their stories, few teachers ask questions. So it is choice of you as a teacher कि आप किस तरह के pauses देना चाहते हैं. So if when you are asking questions, those questions must be related to the topic, and those questions can be complex by nature also. इंट्रोडक्शन में हम कहते हैं सिंपल पूछो, बट डेवलपमेंटल फेज में आपके कॉम्प्लेक्स स्टेटमेंट्स द टीचर कैन आस्क टू डेवलप रीजनिंग अबाउट स्टूडेंट, कि जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन आप डिलीवर कर रहे हो उसकी प्रोसेसिंग इंफॉर्मेशन के साथ होती रहे. इसलिए हमें कौन से क्वेश्चन पूछने हैं? मेनली रीजनिंग बेस्ड क्वेश्चन एंड एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन. ओपन एंडेड डिस्कशन नेवर बिकम द पार्ट ऑफ योर रिटन टेस्ट. जो हम अपने फाइनल एग्जामिनेशन में पेपर सेट करते हैं और पीरियोडिकल्स में पेपर सेट करते हैं, उसमें ओपन एंडेड डिस्कशंस नहीं लेते. अदरवाइज इट इज डिफिकल्ट फॉर द टीचर टू लुक फॉर द राइट आंसर. वो जितनी भी ओपन एंडेड स्टेटमेंट्स होती हैं, कहाँ डिस्कशन होती है उनकी? क्लासरूम एनवायरनमेंट में. सो ड्यूरिंग द डेवलपमेंटल फेज आपकी प्रोसेसिंग, रीजनिंग एंड एप्लीकेशन ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन नीड टू बी देयर, एंड इट इज द मैक्सिमम पार्ट ऑन विच द टीचर इज स्पेंडिंग टाइम. तो अगर आपकी 50 मिनट की क्लास है तो 30 to 35 मिनट इज योर डेवलपमेंटल फेज. एंड एट द एंड द कंक्लूजन फेज ऑफ योर लेक्चर, इन विच the teacher is going to ask a complex and a most difficult statement related to that topic. Many of the students do not know that particular answer, or maybe one or two students of your class are ready with the answer, but that complex statement instigate the student to search for the information. और अगर आपके पास बिलो एवरेज स्टूडेंट है, द कंक्लूजन फेज ऑफ योर लेक्चर नीड टू बी एंड विद the statements that are very routine by nature. So when I'm saying routine by nature means that become regularly or usually the part of your final examination. So वो statement आपने introduce करने हैं to your student. So that is active learning strategies during traditional lecture method. First is collecting feedback. Second is asking questions to the student, dividing your lecture into 3 different parts, and think of that what are the different statements that I'm going to ask in these 3 phases. If your students are good enough in reading and writing, allow your classes to have discussions and activities rather than note taking information or repeating information. Give them time to work. So this is all from my side.